Let's just say it. High value women trigger men who haven't done the work, or at least repel them, right? That's why so many emotionally unavailable men will chase you at first and then suddenly disappear, vanish in thin air. And no, it's not because you're too much. It's because your wholeness reminds them that they haven't healed yet. And instead of rising to the challenge, they run, right? They're not in a space to where they understand their masculine energy from a healed place yet, from a healthy place. So they do what only people do whenever they're not ready for something healthier, something that's going to challenge them in that way. They avoid it. They go the other direction. They turn around. They go somewhere else, but not with you. See, he didn't ghost you because you were lacking anything. No, he vanished because your energy made him confront everything he hasn't faced in himself yet. The clarity, calmness, and standards you brought to the table weren't just attractive, they were activating. And when you're unhealed, that kind of activation doesn't feel like love or the stuff you want or the stuff you want to lean in towards. It feels like exposure. And that kind of exposure either humbles a man into rising to meet the standard, leading into his masculine energy in the healthy way that he should and that is designed for, to push him to go evolve, or it will trigger him into retreating. If he's unhealed enough, if he's not healed enough to handle that level of growth or what's required of him to stand next to you, right? And for you to want to stand next to him. But let's be clear. This message is not for every woman. If you're still leading with unhealed wounds, emotional chaos, or entitlement disguised as confidence, that's not high value energy. No, that's protection mode. This video is for women who have done the work, who have learned to lead with love, standards, and boundaries, right? Who are grounded, emotionally honest, and actually ready to give and receive something real, the love that they truly want. So to you ladies, emotionally unavailable men often fall in love with potential, but not their own, yours. They chase the fantasy of who you might be before emotional intimacy is required from them. But once it gets real, once your boundaries show up, once your softness meets expectation, that's when it becomes too much weight for the illusion to carry on. So they disappear, right? Because the fantasy was much safer than building something real with you. So they move on to find someone else that will allow them to stay in and live out the fantasy until the fantasy can't live any longer. Here's the psychology behind it. A woman who brings peace, presence, and emotional safety is a dream to a healthy man. But to an unhealed man, oh, that peace feels unsafe. See, he's used to emotional inconsistency, arguments, or conditional love. So when you're steady and open, his nervous system doesn't know what to do with it. So he'll either shut down or try to create chaos he's familiar with. It's not your fault, not at all, but it is your responsibility to recognize the mismatch and call it off as soon as you do. So he can go heal and you can go find a man that is ready for the level of growth and healed space you're at. Because your confidence, your softness that doesn't bend under pressure, your ability to love without losing yourself in the process, that kind of emotional maturity exposes how far behind he is. And now his ego has a decision to make. Step up or pull back and hold on to the lie that says you were the problem or you were too much or you were going to be a headache to deal with. So he disappears. And let's be honest. Most people choose their comfort over their growth. So it's not because you were wrong, but because they weren't ready, right? If you represent the thing or the person, or you represent them having to grow, because growing is one of the hardest things for us to do and work on ourselves, right? Because our biggest growth happens at the edge of our comfort zone. And so if you represent pushing them to the edge of their comfort zone, then it's an easy layup that they're going to avoid or run away from you. But you're going to feel like it's kind of personal to you because the way they do it maybe doesn't have morality to it. It lacks decency or common courtesy. They do just disappear and stuff that just, shows a lack of respect for you as just a human being that at least deserves the clarity of what's happening and what's going on. And that's where the understanding that a lot of people are out here dating from an unhealed place comes in. It's not to give a pass to them doing things that are, just not decent, like ghosting you. But we oftentimes, if we're coming from a more healed space, we start to have an expectation of someone to operate in a healed way when they're coming from an unhealed position. They can't offer you what they don't have oftentimes, right? Even though common sense or decency would say so, if you're coming from a place of, internal wounds and you're more concerned with your own self-preservation and all these things, you'll do a lot of unhealthy stuff that doesn't make sense on the surface to a healthy person, right? So not all men who are emotionally unavailable are manipulators, right? Some really want to do better. They just haven't done the work and the healing required and that it takes to sustain an actual healthy relationship or to begin building one on the foundation in the dating stages to start with. And not every woman who gets ghosted is ready either. But see, this is not about blaming men or blindly validating women. It's about awareness. Because the moment you stop chasing potential and start choosing alignment is the moment you stop confusing emotional unavailability with chemistry. So if he chased you in the beginning and then vanished, it wasn't rejection. It was revelation. Him disqualifying himself. Because it was revelation of where he's at. Revelation of how far you've come. And maybe most importantly, revelation of how much you deserve someone who's actually ready and where you're at. Because love is never proven by the pursuit, but it's definitely proven by the presence and the intention and the consistency, right? That's where it happens. So if you need help sharpening your vetting skills more so you can start attracting and only dealing with the men that are actually ready, or at the very least, get the ones that are not ready out of your way sooner so you don't waste time with ones that are going to wind up ghosting you or whatever the case, or even getting yourself into the shape you need to get into as a woman to be ready for the kind of man that you want, then email or DM me the word coaching and we will get to work, only if you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching on the time, space, or maybe even the resources, then at least email or DM me the word transformation. And I'll send you the link to my transformation course that'll help you learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace, on your own time, at a resource level you can afford. Or even at the very least, as far as the dating aspect of it is concerned, get my book, Joker Proof Dating. Right, it's on Amazon. You can DM me the word Joker Proof Dating, and I will send you the link to the book as well. But do something to get in the race and get better results. Let's get it.